Guess she finally gave up pretending to be the saint, my aunt muttered beside the coffin, chewing gum like it was an afterthought. Your mom always loved the drama. The room smelled of lilies and rain. I stood there, numb, watching strangers whisper condolences that sounded rehearsed. My dad wasn't there, he'd sent a short message, work trip. Postpone the burial till I'm back. But I knew exactly where he was. With her. The woman half my mother's age. HY everyone, my name is Claire Henderson, I'm 28. And if you think you know how this ends, stay tuned. Because hours after lowering mom into the ground, my phone buzzed with a text that turned my blood into ice. I'm not dead. Come to the cemetery. Now. It came from mom's phone. The same number we buried with her, locked inside that coffin. I stared at the screen until my reflection blurred in the glass. Then another message appeared. Bring no one. Just you. The rain had turned the road into a mirror when I drove there, headlights slicing through fog like knives. Every mile felt longer than the last. The cemetery gates creaked open as if they'd been waiting for me. Wind hissed through the trees, and somewhere, a chime clattered against marble. I parked under the willow that used to shade mom's grave on Sundays, the same spot she'd said felt peaceful, not lonely. But tonight, it wasn't peaceful. It was breathing. There was movement near the tombstones, slow, deliberate. A shape draped in pale fabric. My fingers trembled on the car door handle. Mom. I whispered before I even realized I'd said it. No answer. Just the faint sound of my name carried through the mist. Then I saw it, fresh footprints beside her grave. Not mine. Not the gravedigger's. Smaller. Bare. Leading toward the old crypt that hadn't been opened in years. And right before I reached it, my phone buzzed one last time. You shouldn't have come alone. The message wasn't from mom's number anymore. It was from dad's. The night held its breath. And I forgot how to. My first instinct was denial. Maybe dad was pranking me. Maybe grief was making me see patterns in fog. But as I stepped closer, the crypt door creaked open by itself, a slow, aching sound that made my ribs tighten. Inside, the air was damp, heavy with the scent of wet stone and wilted roses. My flashlight cut across the darkness, revealing petals scattered like breadcrumbs leading deeper inside. Each petal was fresh. Mom. My voice cracked against the stone. The echo came back smaller, weaker, as if something swallowed it whole. Then I saw the candle. A single white one, burning steady on a slab. Beside it, a folded letter with my name in mom's handwriting. My knees nearly buckled. Claire, if you're reading this, he thinks I'm gone. Don't trust anyone until I tell you it's safe. The world tilted. I read the words again and again, tracing her cursive loops through trembling tears. He thinks I'm gone. The flickering light revealed something else. Mom's wedding ring sitting beside the letter, scratched, blood smeared along the inner curve. That's when I heard footsteps outside. Not approaching, circling. My phone vibrated again. Another text. Dad, go home. Now. Another one followed seconds later. Dad, don't open anything else. My pulse hammered. He was nearby. Watching. I turned off my flashlight and crouched behind the stone altar, barely breathing. The door groaned open again, flooding the room with faint lightning from outside. Claire. It was his voice. Calm. Controlled. The same tone he used during every lie. Sweetheart, it's late. You shouldn't be here. His footsteps echoed closer. But before he reached the letter, something moved behind him, fast. A shadow in white. He froze. So did I. Then his flashlight clattered to the ground, spinning light over the walls. When it stopped, he was gone. And on the slab beside Mom's letter, a new message had appeared, scrawled in red ink. He followed me here. Find the box before he does. I stood frozen, staring at the red scrawl. The letters were still wet. The ink hadn't even dried. I touched it, half expecting it to smear, half praying it wouldn't. It did. Find the box before he does. I looked around, the flickering candlelight throwing erratic shadows across the stone walls. Every crevice suddenly looked like it could be hiding something. My flashlight beam shook as I swept it across the room. There, behind a stack of old grave vases, a small section of the floor looked slightly raised. I crouched down and brushed the dirt away. My fingers hit metal. A latch. The moment I tugged it open, The smell of damp earth rushed out. Inside was a wooden box, wrapped in faded lace, my mother's lace. The same one she used to cover her vanity table. My heart cracked. I pulled it out and opened it carefully. Inside were photographs, some torn in half, some burned at the edges. My parents smiling, younger, happier. But beneath them lay something that didn't belong. A USB drive sealed in a plastic bag and a tiny black key tied with a ribbon. Then came the sound again, footsteps. This time, slower. Cautious. Not my father's heavy stride. I held my breath. A silhouette appeared in the crypt's doorway. For a split second, I thought it was her, Mom, in that pale dress I'd seen earlier. But when the light shifted, I saw the truth. It was my aunt, the same one who'd mocked Mom at the funeral. She was holding a phone flashlight, her eyes wild. "Claire," she hissed. "You shouldn't have come here." Her gaze darted to the box in my hand. "He's looking for that." My grip tightened. "What's on it?" She shook her head. "Something that will end him. But if he finds you with it, you'll end too." And before I could ask more, headlights flashed outside the crypt, cutting through the rain. My aunt's face went pale. "He's here," she whispered. Then she blew out the candle, plunging us both into darkness. The darkness swallowed everything: air, time, logic. I could hear my own heartbeat echoing off the crypt walls. My aunt's hand grabbed mine, cold and shaking. "Don't make a sound," she breathed. Outside, the gravel crunched under footsteps. A flashlight beam swept through the cracks in the crypt door. It stopped, right where we stood moments ago. Then, silence. My aunt leaned close. "There's another way out," she whispered, pulling me toward the back wall. She ran her hand along the stone until it clicked, a narrow passage, half collapsed with roots and dirt. "Go. Now." "What about you?" I asked. She didn't answer. She just shoved me into the tunnel and whispered, "Find what's on that drive. And whatever happens, don't believe his version of your mother's death." Then the crypt door slammed open. A voice filled the chamber. My father's voice, low, furious. "Where is she?" I crawled through the narrow passage, clutching the box to my chest, soil scraping my knees. Behind me, I heard my aunt scream, short, sharp, then nothing. When I finally reached the other side, I pushed out into the rain. My hands were caked with dirt and blood, not all of it mine. The cemetery stretched behind me like a bad dream. I stumbled toward my car, heart pounding, but something made me stop. On the windshield was a folded note, pinned by a single rose. The paper was soaked, but I could still read the first line. "He lied about the fire. About everything." Inside the envelope was a photograph, my mother standing in front of a small lake house I didn't recognize, dated just 3 days before her death. Lightning flashed again, and for the first time, I saw the reflection in my window. My father's silhouette standing at the gate, unmoving, watching me. He raised his phone, and my screen lit up with a new message. "Dad, come home. Or I'll tell them what you did." My fingers went cold. Because there was something I'd done, something no one else knew. Rain blurred everything, the cemetery, my shaking hands, the truth. I gripped the steering wheel, staring at that message, "Come home. Or I'll tell them what you did." 4 years, he'd used that same threat, like a leash. But this time, it hit different. Because now, I wasn't sure what he meant. What did he think I did? I started the engine, headlights piercing the fog, and drove until the cemetery vanished in the mirror. The box sat on the seat beside me, humming with the weight of secrets. When I reached my apartment, I locked the door twice, drew the curtains, and plugged the USB into my laptop. It loaded slowly, like it was holding its breath. A folder appeared, Henderson Financials, Private. I clicked. Dozens of video files, documents, bank statements, and one file named Confession. I pressed play. The screen flickered. Mom, sitting in her sewing room, eyes red, voice trembling. "If you're watching this, Claire, he found out. Your father isn't who you think. He used my name to launder everything, the fake accounts, the properties, even your college fund. He'll blame me when it unravels. But remember this. The password to prove his guilt is hidden in your childhood music box. Don't let him rewrite what happened to me." My body went cold. I looked toward my bookshelf, the old ballerina music box she gave me at 12. It hadn't played a note since the day she died. But before I could move, my phone buzzed again. Unknown, too late. We have the box. My blood drained. I turned to the window, a dark SUV parked across the street, engine running. Then another message flashed. Unknown, Aunt didn't make it. I staggered back, choking on air. A knock echoed through the door. 3 slow taps. Then silence. And under it, the faint, haunting tune of my childhood music box playing from inside my apartment. That melody, soft, mechanical, sweet, used to lull me to sleep when Mom tucked me in. Now it sounded like a warning. Each delicate note crawled up my spine. The music box was supposed to be on my bookshelf. But the sound was coming from the kitchen. I moved slowly, bare feet whispering against the floor, heart hammering so loud I thought it would give me away. The song ended with its familiar click. Then came a whisper, one that wasn't mine. Curious little girl. Still following ghosts. I froze. His voice. My father. Calm, smug, as if the whole night was one of his business meetings. He stepped from the shadows, rain still glistening on his coat. The music box sat on the counter, its ballerina spinning one final, broken rotation. He held up a flash drive identical to mine. Looking for this. How did you? Your mother was clever, but not clever enough, he interrupted, smiling like a predator. You shouldn't have gone to the cemetery. Now they'll think you staged it all. What are you talking about? I whispered. He sighed, taking a step closer. The fire, Claire. The one that killed her? Your fingerprints were on the lighter. Convenient, wasn't it? I didn't. Doesn't matter. The evidence says you did. And I kept it that way. Because I needed leverage. I stared at him, realization hitting like glass shattering. All those years he'd silenced me with guilt, all those nightmares I thought were mine. You killed her, I said, voice trembling. You made it look like me. His smile didn't move, but his eyes darkened. You always were your mother's weakness. He reached for his phone, thumb hovering over the screen. Confess to the fire, or the cops see the files. Your choice. I exhaled slowly, every nerve burning with quiet rage. You shouldn't have come here. His smirk widened. Why? Planning to haunt me too? Before I could answer, the laptop behind me pinged. A new file had appeared on the screen, one I hadn't opened. Live stream, 12,000 viewers. And his face went white. The glow from the laptop screen lit the room like a stage light. The live stream window filled the screen, our apartment, us, everything caught in perfect clarity. I hadn't turned it on. Comments flooded the chat box. Is this real? Who's the man? He just admitted it. Rewind. Dad's jaw locked. What did you do? I didn't do anything, I said, but my voice shook. The files, they must have triggered it. He lunged for the computer, yanking at the cable, but the image didn't stop. His voice, his confession, confess to the fire, or the cops see the files, had already looped twice. His mask cracked. You don't understand, Claire, he hissed. They'll destroy me. Everything I built. I stepped back, clutching the wooden box. Everything you built was with her blood. Stop it, he shouted, slamming the lid of the laptop. The stream ended. The silence that followed felt heavier than his rage. Then, a soft buzz from my phone. Unknown, it's done. His trending. Dad froze. He must have read the same message reflected in my eyes. Slowly, he backed away, shaking his head. You ruined us. No, I whispered. You did, when you killed Mom and buried her truth. His shoulders slumped, the fight leaving him. You think anyone will believe your little ghost story? I opened the music box. The ballerina's bass clicked, once, twice, and popped open. Inside, hidden beneath the gears, was a second flash drive labeled, police copy. This was her plan all along, I said softly. She knew you'd come for me. And she knew I'd finish it. Sirens wailed in the distance. Red lights flickered through the curtains. He looked toward the window, then back at me, the first flicker of real fear in his eyes. Claire, please. But I'd already placed the flash drive beside the candlelight. I loved you once, I whispered. But I love the truth more. He took one step toward me, then the door burst open. Police floodlights washed the room in cold blue. Officers swarmed inside, weapons raised, voices overlapping. My father froze like a statue in a storm, his hands still half lifted toward me. "Step away from her, Mr. Henderson," one officer barked. He looked at me, then at the laptop, still glowing faintly from the paused stream. His entire empire, every polished lie, was collapsing in real time. "Claire," he whispered, trembling. "You think this makes you safe? They'll tear the family apart." I swallowed, my voice barely a breath. It already was. 2 officers moved in, cuffing him as he muttered fragments of excuses, about insurance, about debts, about her forcing my hand. None of it mattered anymore. As they let him out, he turned back once, rain streaking down his face. For a second, I saw not the monster, but the man who used to lift me on his shoulders. Then the door shut, and the silence left behind felt almost holy. I sank to the floor. The ballerina in the music box had stopped spinning. The candle beside it flickered, then steadied. For the first time since Mom's funeral, I exhaled without shaking. The next morning, detectives confirmed what I already knew. Mom's body had been moved before the fire. The lab results from the flash drives exposed everything: the forged records, the offshore accounts, the insurance claim timed perfectly to her death. I visited her grave that evening, the same willow-lined path where it all began. The air was soft, almost forgiving. I placed the music box on the stone and wound it one last time. The melody floated through the dusk, fragile and free. "I found the box, Mom," I whispered. "And I finally found you." The wind shifted, brushing my hair like a hand. Somewhere beyond the trees, a chime rang, faint, like laughter carried by air. As the final note faded, I closed the lid. No tears. No fear. Just quiet peace. Justice hadn't shouted. It had whispered.